Well, the National Student Financial Aid Scheme launched NSFAS and WCED Open Week in partnership with the Western Cape Education Department at the September High School in Philippi yesterday. NSFAS and the WCED Open Week aims to create awareness on financial aid opportunities in higher and further education and training. This initiative is aimed at encouraging matric pupils to make early applications for academic admission for the 2017 year. The event is targeted at 18 schools from Philippi, Nyanga, and Gugulethu. The majority of the schools are categorized by the Department of Basic Education in quintile 2 and 3, which are classified as no-fee schools. Well, joining me now in studio to discuss this roadshow that they've got underway is NSFAS spokesperson Kershaw Mamabolo. Kershaw, good morning to you. A good initiative. You say it's one of your first self-implemented initiatives.
Yes, good morning and thank you for inviting us. Of course, this is the first initiative by NSFAS. And of course, we looked at whom can we partner with, and the Western Cape Education Department was the first one to come on board. But the idea here is to take it nationwide, given the fact that NSFAS is going online in terms of its application for funding processes in 2017. So we need to aid those learners early, encourage them to apply for admission at university, as well as encouraging them to apply for funding on the 1st of August when the system goes live.
How do you apply? I mean, many people who apply for NSFAS probably don't have internet access apart from online. I mean, is there other ways that people can apply?
Of course, we're partnering with higher education institutions, universities that are able to assist learners that may need to apply during their open week. I mean, University of Venda is one such good example that will buzz learners into the university, and they use their computer labs. And the open week really is to ensure that everyone who cannot be able to apply online is able to come to our facilities and apply. But also it's a multi-platform channel that we're introducing. We are not cutting away paper applications. Learners can still submit their applications to NSFAS. We'll still accept them.
Tell us a little bit about who's eligible for NSFAS.
Well, NSFAS really targets those that come from poor families that have an income of less than 120,000 per annum. And those would be learners whose parents cannot afford higher education and training. So you need to have a valid South African ID. You need to have passed matric. You need to have been admitted at the university to study or at a college, and then you will then apply for NSFAS.
And what do you cover? Is it just tuition fees? Is it accommodation? What do NSFAS funds cover?
Look, we're looking at providing, and this is the initiative of the NSFAS board, to find a way of really giving a comprehensive support. At the moment, we give tuition, we give books, we give accommodation, we give allowances, such as transport, where possible. And this really happens at TVET colleges where you get transport costs.
Tell us, there's a lot of controversy now about the paying back of NSFAS. Do you make students who apply for NSFAS aware of their responsibilities in terms of paying that back in the future? I mean, how does that work?
Well, it's quite clear in terms of our loan agreement forms and the terms and conditions. When you apply for NSFAS at university, it is clear it's a loan. When you go to a college, it's full bursary, and it's repayable if it's a loan. And we encourage learners, students, while they study, that as soon as they start working, they must start paying. Repayments only start when you are employed. When you are not employed, you are not eligible to pay back. And as NSFAS, we cannot force you to pay back when you are not employed.
So, but you do force them to pay back when they're working? I mean,
yes.
And is it a proportion of your salary? I mean, some people earn more than others. Is it a percentage of your salary? I mean, how does the payback work?
Well, if you earn a total income of about 30,000 rand per annum, and you are supposed to start paying at 3% of your annual salary, which could be about 89 rands per month to 900 rands per year. But of course, that's why we have been working with other stakeholders state institutions such as SARS, and we know that the Minister of Finance amended the Tax Administration Act recently, adding NSFAS to one of the statutory bodies that may require personal information of taxpayers. This allows us then to find those people that are self-employed or freelancers and that earn a lot of money, a lump sum that can be repaid towards their loan.
Tell us, you mentioned the criteria for it. I mean, but in essence, you can't, you're not going to be able to accept every single student. Considering what's happened with the Fees Must Fall campaign, a lot of focus is now on NSFAS and who you're going to be, who you're going to be able to take on as students. I mean, what are some of the challenges that you're facing going into the next academic year?
Well, at the moment, government has made a commitment. Because we are a public entity, following the Fees Must Fall, the president announced that there would be about 2 billion to help those students that have got historic debt and they want to continue in the system, but there will also additional 2 billion to ensure that those that come into the system are able to continue being funded. At the moment, we've got about 14 billion in total, and then we fund over 400,000 students. And of course, this figure would increase in terms of the enrollment plans for institutions. But we are quite confident that with the support of government, all the students that qualify for NSFAS will be assisted. But we encourage debtors that owe us, because it's about 14 billion that we can actually still recover from those that have defaulted.
So debtors, you meaning students who have now got jobs and are not paying back?
Yes, they are out of the system. Either they graduated or they dropped out, but now their status is that they are a debtor. So they are eligible to start paying back. And if that amount of money is that repaid, I'm sure we can help quite a number of students.
Let's talk about that interesting of just picking up other dropouts. That must be a major concern, because generally people who get a matric, a university exemption, will try and go through the system, through the university system. Is there a large percentage of dropouts, and I guess you can't get that money back once they've dropped out?
Yeah, dropout has been a challenge for us as NSFAS, especially if you look at first year students, because we fund majority of students that come from poor families who never dreamt of going to university, and all of a sudden NSFAS is there to assist them. Once they get to university, they don't have that kind of support, to go through the system. So over the past few years, we either short-funded students and who end up dropping out, or they couldn't just cope with the pressure at university. And now we are looking, and this is the initiative led by the Sizwe Nxasana, who's our chairperson of the board, to look at how can we provide a comprehensive support for our students to ensure success in higher education. And also because if they succeed, the likelihood of repaying back and getting employment, it's very high.
Tell us a little about you. You're going to be launching online. Tell us about that project.
Well, we've been doing some trials in the past 3 years in terms of the online system, but really the objective here is to reduce pressure on institutions, because in the past universities had the responsibility of administering NSFAS. Now we want to centralize that system and have NSFAS to deal with all the applications, deal with the funding of the students, building a relationship with the students from the time they come into the system until they exist and they find employment. So the online system would start on the 1st of August, mainly targeting matriculants, because those are the ones that need to apply early at university for admission. Returning students, we're working with university to migrate data so that we can tell them whether they should apply or we would have their details and just send them an SMS or some emails.
We've seen, excuse me, the Gauteng Education Department trying to go the online route, but the systems can't cope. Are your systems going to be strong enough to cope? You're going to get a huge amount of demand. It's your future, your education. Are the systems going to be able to cope with the demand? Well,
we've tried this system with 11 institutions in the past couple of years, 3 years, and then we were able to deal with some technical glitches. We can't say really there wouldn't be any, because we'll never know. But we are quite confident that at the moment we'll be able to deal with the application. And that's why we want to take them in trenches. We want to start with the matriculant first, and then after that we look at the returning students. The good thing about the new system now really is that we are able to verify information in terms of the income, family information, also whether the parents have deceased or they are still alive. The system can be synchronized and verified with Home Affairs and SASSA and so forth.
Just quickly remind us about this sort of roadshow. Where can people go? What are the details?
Yeah, at the moment the roadshow is taking place it started yesterday until Friday in Philippi in the Western Cape at Sinetemba High School. So learners can go there from 9 o'clock in the morning until 4 o'clock in the afternoon, to get more information. We've got universities and other higher education institutions that are exhibiting there, even private companies that offer bursaries, they are exhibiting and giving more information.
Lovely. Good stuff. Best of luck. I guess it's such an important thing, education in our country. That's NSFAS spokesperson Kershaw Mamabolo just updating us on that, the latest from NSFAS, that roadshow that began yesterday throughout the week. If you're eligible, if you're thinking you're going to be eligible, if you're a matric student, get down to that Philippi High School and get some of the details there. And